And good morning or afternoon or evening, everybody. 'Cause I don't know which part of the world you are watching from. And so my name is Lucia Giovannini, and I'm a transformational speaker and author of 13 books, including A Whole New Life, which was recently released in the US. In this inspirational New Life series, I'll be chatting with inspiring men and women who have discovered how to harness the power of change and create a whole new life that is truly fulfilling and authentic to who they are. And today, I'm super excited to bring to you Julie Daniluk. Julie is a leading nutritionist and the co-host of Healthy Gourmet, a reality cooking show on OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. For 12 years, she was the cooperative owner and the chief in-store nutritionist for one of Canada's largest health food stores, the Big Carrot Natural Food Market. Her journey into nutrition is fueled by her early struggles with food. When she was 7 years old, her mother realized that Julie had food allergies and sensitivities. After her parents took her off sugar and artificial colors, preservatives, and flavors, her health blossomed. However, when she was 16, Julie rebelled against the natural diet and became obsessed with cookies and ice creams. Despite the allergies, she would continue eating refined foods until she threw up, not realizing she was suffering from bulimia. So the effects of bulimia eventually took a toll, and it took months of tough therapy to address her emotional eating issues. A year later, she finally broke free from negative eating patterns and healed her gut. So today, I'm super excited to chat with Julie about her healing journey with food and how she turned her struggles into success, and now how she is now helping people to do the same through her books, her programs. So welcome, Julie. I'm super happy to be here.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor, and you have you are such a bright light and creating this amazing place for all of us to meet and improve our health spiritually, physically, emotionally. So thank you for the huge gifts, and especially the idea that I can come and share with your audience. It lights me up. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, for our Italian audience, Julie's book was released in Italy as well, and you can find it. It's called La Dieta Hot. Check it out. You'll find it in Italian bookstores, Amazon, etc., etc.
Isn't it exciting when your book gets translated into another language? It's exciting because here's the Canadian version, which is just the hot detox in a pale cover. And then when it went to the US, it became red, which I love. And then when it went to Italy, I just love reading the illustrations in Italian. I had my Italian girlfriend translate it back to me. It was very fun.
Yeah, so. I know. I'm super excited as well because my first book, A Whole New Life, has been translated in 10 languages, and now the next one will be Arabic, and which was a dream of mine because I've always been so fascinated by the Arab world, and
yes,
lived in Africa when I was a young child in the northern part of Africa. I was exposed to that culture, but never got to learn the language or anything. But I'm fascinated, and when I received this news, I was like, wow.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I'm so excited. I hope that we get to host you here in Canada. It'd be really fun.
I'd love to. As I was telling you, actually there's an idea of we actually scheduled the Whole New Life Today's workshop in Canada next June, beginning of June in Toronto. Let's see. If we make it happen, it will be fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. Great.
So let's dive right in about the subject of today, which is nutrition and healing journey with food. So Julie, what role did your intuition play when it came to nutrition and healing your body?
It was a huge role. And I will say, similar to your journey, I actually read the book, You Can Heal Your Life, very young. So I was very fortunate. I actually have Louise's signature in my book when I finally met her. Isn't that a thrill to to have this wonderful book so long ago be such a groundbreaking book. And so when I was very, very sick, so know that I actually went to Thailand and nearly died of food poisoning. And I was paralyzed from my neck down because I didn't have any electrolytes. I had dysentery for so long that I couldn't even move my limbs, and I had to be carried to a nursing station. And when I was that sick, I remember calling out and praying, doing a lot of prayer. And when I came home, things really got so much worse. I developed arthritis. I developed actually bursitis. And that's the ricochet, because when your bowel goes, when your bowel is in really bad shape and the lining is destroyed, then you end up having this domino effect that causes pain everywhere else in your body. And my wonderful partner, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, held my face in his hands and said to me earnestly, "Julie, what are you going to do to heal?" And I really had to call in, like, what do I do to heal? Because I just felt like a 60-year-old living in a 30-year-old's body. I was so sick. And I remember looking at him and just making this vow to him and to myself, like, I will do anything to heal. And in calling out that, I started to get a really clear idea of the foods that cause harm and the foods that really would be healing. And I wrote them out in 2 lists, and I started to create this master list on my fridge of the foods that I feel were really helping me and the ones that I probably should avoid for my health. And that's how I developed my very first handout, which became my very first self-published little book that we bound in my basement. And I just gave to friends and family, and that's what was picked up by Hay House. So it was a very exciting evolution that was totally driven by my intuition and then backed up by science, because I knew, like, well, this is what feels right. Where can I find the science to back up my feelings? And that's why I'm so glad that, people loved that it was scientifically backed, but inspired by spirit, which is so important.
Exactly. And I think the combination of the two is amazing, gets amazing results. The combination of intuition and spirit coming through, and of course, science is, I mean, when we put the two together, because most of the time, we tend to consider one or the other.
Yes.
Instead, the idea is to put the two together.
Yes, totally.
And how did healing your body improve other areas of your life? Because, most of the time people think of, okay, my body and then my emotions and my mind on the other side, like they were 2 different things. But instead, when you work on one, of course, it affects the other in the positive and negative sense. Yeah.
I didn't realize that my mood would improve that much. Like I thought, well, maybe being in less pain, I would be in a better mood. But I didn't understand that negative self-talk that sat on one shoulder and shouted into my ear that I was stupid, or I was ugly, or I wasn't enough, or that I wasn't as beautiful as other people. That huge negative self-talk 100% disappeared, because once the lining of my gut was back in place, what's amazing is we now know with science that you actually make more serotonin, your happiness hormone, when we heal our gut, because 90% of our serotonin, our happiness hormone, is made right in our gut lining. So heal your gut, heal your mind. And that's the connection of, once you feel more positive, then you can put more healthy habits in place and have more of an actual run at it. You get more drive so that you can continue with this. Because that's the fascinating thing about putting healthy habits and positive thinking in place, is that one just builds on another, and all of a sudden you're running flat out and you're like, I had no idea I could fit this many positive habits in one day. But you start to want to do it because the self-love comes from this genuine place instead of forcing it. There's only so much positive talk we can do without backing it up in building our gut integrity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in fact, for me, nutrition and being aware, of what you eat, and the food that really help you and the one that really lower your energy and make you sick, is so important that I included it as a chapter in my book, A Whole New Life. I'm not a nutritionist, so I mean, my idea is not give advice on nutrition itself, but more give advice on be aware of what you eat.
Yes.
And of course, in general, I mean, fruit and vegetables. I mean, generally a plant-based diet or a diet that contains a lot of plants and fruits and veggies. Definitely, I mean, even if you think about it, it's sun, it's good energy, it's light that comes into your body through food. So.
Yes. And I want to just speak to Sardinia being the longest living people on the whole planet, and how plant-based they really are, between the dandelion greens and the rapini and all the garlic. I mean, it's so life-giving. And I just love that if you just look at the name of Sardinia, it's the island of sardine people. So having all that omega-3 from the fish. Did you know our brain is 8% omega-3, but our diet is less than 1% omega-3? There's something broken there. If we return to the diet of our ancestors, especially of Sardinia, we look to an extremely high omega-3 menu, which is only going to improve your mood, because we now know omega-3 and vitamin D, which is huge in sardines, just boosts your mood so profoundly, because that's the actual, know that omega-3 and vitamin D synthesizes your serotonin. So without that catalyst, how do we make enough of our happiness hormone? But most people are vitamin D and omega-3 deficient, very deficient. So let's just go back and look, hey, what did my ancestors eat? Which was a big part of my intuition was, okay, I'm Ukrainian. What did my grandma do to stay healthy? She made dandelion wine. She made sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is full of good bacteria, which is going to heal my gut and takes minutes to make. Or if you're intimidated, the good news is in Europe, everywhere I went, it had antipasti with fermented vegetables. Even olives that are fermented. You have delicious fermented olives that are extra wrinkly. Those are filled with the good bacteria that help our gut heal. So that's the good news, is that even in a bar where most people are sucking back some wine, you can order some very delicious dishes that can heal you head to toe.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I mean, and here in Europe, it's, as you said, it's quite easy because you have so many alternatives. The idea is just, to be aware of what am I ingesting, what kind of food am I putting in my body, which is the temple of my soul. And it's so funny because we are more aware of which kind of fuel do we put in our car rather than which kind of fuel do we put in our body. I mean,
I know. Isn't that funny? We would never say, it's my Ferrari's birthday. We better put some unrefined petroleum from the ground into my $200,000 car. We would never do that, or Euro car in your case. We would never do that, but we will stick just the craziest junk into our system on special treat days and expect ourselves to stay happy. Funny. Our eyes get all puffy and our guts get unhappy and we have dark circles and we get all moody. What if our mood is completely linked to every bite of food we put in us? Because I'll promise you, I used to have depression issues. I used to be anxious, so anxious. And all of that drops away when we give ourselves the right fuel to heal our gut lining, because it's such a direct link. So thank you, because it is positive psychology. Of course, I absolutely believe in your message. I think you start people, because I think you do need to start with spirit and intuition. And then I'm here as the base of the pyramid to back up what you're saying, because we have to have spirit lead us and then our bodies to carry through our lifespan.
And when we change our nutrition, then it's much easier to go deeper in your spiritual quest or in your spiritual path. Because as you were saying before, the two things nourish each other, help each other, the two aspects, the two, definitely.
And that's why the priests fast. That's why Lent That's why all of these times of restriction, it's not just for, punishment by any stretch. It's the complete opposite. It's actually a time for us to get incredibly in touch with our need for healing and our need for spirit connection, which comes much louder. We can listen to true spirit when we don't have our body's complaints constantly like dark, foggy glasses between us and spirit. And that's why sometimes when I want to really connect, I go to my grandmother, who has passed over after 94 years of being unbelievably healthy. She fasted a great deal. And she always said when she needed to pray on something, she would fast. And through that connection time, oh my goodness. And you don't need to fast for a long time. For those people who are new, you may have heard of this thing called intermittent fasting, or even 12-hour fast, just extending your fast, where you stop eating at 7 p.m. and you start eating at 7 a.m. Just extending it a little bit will allow your gut chance to heal. And for those people, because I know in Italy it's extremely popular to eat late at night, maybe you stop eating at 9 or 10, but you start eating again at 9 or 10, and just giving your body a little bit of a break so you don't start your day with the espresso quite as early. Just gives you that extra time for your gut to heal and for you to have that real moment of prayer and connection before we go back into more food.
Yeah,
that can be really helpful.
I practice intermittent fasting every day, and
I love it.
Most of the times I manage to do 16 hours instead of just 12. And for example, I do my meditation in the morning, which is also my period of intermittent fasting. And I notice that when I fast before my meditation, during of course, but also before my meditation,
yes,
it's much easier to meditate. Mind slows down. If, for example, sometimes I ate very late, or for some reasons I'm not in that fasting, then it's where my mind goes more hectic. And it makes sense, because if our body is not weighted down by the food, is not, the energy of our body is not needed to digest the food, then it can really open up to spirit. So yeah,
totally. I love that you intermittent fast. It makes so much sense as a spiritual person that you know that you feel more connected and you feel clear in your head. And that's why so many spiritual people will just sip a green tea, because interesting, in green tea you have L-theanine, which we now know is an amino acid that calms you down, and just a tiny bit of caffeine to keep you more alert. So it's one of these beautiful remedies that have both a calming and an elevating mix right in one remedy, which is so fun. So that's great that you know to intermittent fast. That's great.
So Julie, if there's anyone listening who is struggling with eating disorders, what would be the one message you would like them to walk away with from this session?
I would really love them to know that it is possible to recover a healthy relationship with food. Just think of food as any other relation. Well, it's probably the biggest relationship you'll have, because it comes inside you every single day, and that you can absolutely heal it when you start to talk to what is the food fulfilling as a need in your body. So one thing that I did when I was in early recovery is that I looked at the food, I just looked at my plate and I asked myself, is this food for healing or is this food for self-harm? Because I actually realized that sometimes I was abusing myself and punishing myself with a food that I know would make me feel incredibly harmful. Like I would feel terrible after eating it. So it's really a self-sabotage that we do sometimes when we know that food will make us feel absolutely horrible, but we go ahead and eat it anyways. So when we go and look at that, then we say, okay, this food is for self-harm. What food can I put in its place, or what can I substitute this for that'll make me feel amazing? So I implement something called the 3-food interference. Because when we say no, our brain automatically goes to rebellion, because we all have the teenager left inside us that says, I want it anyway, right? So instead of saying, no, you can never eat that food, which is diet, which puts you in food prison and makes you feel horrible. Instead, if you say, I'm going to allow that maybe I'll have a bit of that food later, but I'm going to eat 3 foods to build me up before. It's like pylons that you have a chance to crash into before hitting a wall.
Yeah.
So I put the 3 good foods in, and those 3 foods should always have protein, because protein makes you feel satiated and really gives you mental clarity and builds your muscles. So I'll eat something that's high in protein, and then I'll eat something that's got good fats in it. So let's talk about protein for a second. That can just be something as easy as pumpkin seeds or hemp hearts or something delicious. And then the fatty thing, you know, what good fat? Olives, and they're salty, and they help you break up with potato chips, right? So they're perfect. You put that in, and then something fibrous after that. If you can maybe put the fibrous, like some sun-dried tomatoes, antipasti with the olives, now we're doubling up. And then if we've had 3 foods, we've had something fibrous, something with veggies, something with protein, and something with fat. We're so satiated physically that if we go for that crave food, we know that it's purely emotional. It's not physical, because we're no longer hungry. Because the big thing that I found with a lot of my clients is they said, I was starving when I first got home, and I reached for the wrong thing because my blood sugar was too low. So can we solve the physical problem? So then we know everything else is emotional and spiritual. And then if we really need help with the emotional and spiritual, because I am the eating psychology coach and I know the incredible work that you do, then we need to get in communication. And that's why being part of a group, like I have a hot detox group that it's totally free. If people want to join my hot detox group, you start to ask questions on how to stay connected and be accountable so that you can have that lovely spirit connection that helps you resolve some of those emotional hurts.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
So interesting. Thank you for your advice, for sharing your story. Guys, this is really, really interesting advice.
Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you. You too. I hope Julie's story has given you the hope that it is possible to transform your relationship with food and transform your health. And it is really much easier than you may think. And you can find Julie at hotdetox.com and also at juliedaniluk.com. And if you're in Italy, I mean, of course, if you are in the States or in Canada or in other parts of the world, then you can find Julie's food, Julie's book, but also in Italy, it's ladieta.com. Yes. So thank you very much.
This was a wonderful conversation. I always hoped that we could connect, and this was just a thrill to have an opportunity. So thank you so much, and I hope this is just the beginning, and I'll see you in Canada.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. Okay, awesome. Talk soon.
And of course, the journey to change does not have to be difficult or lonely. So if you are in a transition in your life, not just regarding food, but any kind of transition, I invite you to join my free 5-day Transform One Habit Challenge to kickstart your journey into a whole new life. And you can just click on the link below this video, and I'll see you on the next episode of this inspirational new life series. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Julie.
Thank you.